Vinnie's in. Oh, she wants to tell me the meeting's been recorded. That's New York Vinnie's in Seattle.
And that's Michael Knight. He's in Los Angeles, California. Together we are Mikey and Vinnie. We take on the world every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Welcome to our show.
Hey, the world got right yesterday for me. I don't know what's going to happen again today, but it was 78 degrees here. I was actually on the deck in my shorts, and everything felt right with the world, even though I know in my heart that everything is not right with the world, Vinnie.
Yeah, well, right with the world can be a relative term, right? I mean,
it can be, yeah, it's like, but the world was no further away than like Kristen's on my left. On my right, I got 2 feet of living space. And then beyond that, the world is not right. The world
I'm sure that on September 1st, 1939, when the jackbooted thugs marched into Poland, Hitler thought all was right with the world.
And that's because he had a piece of the boot manufacturer.
He had, see, that's what people don't ever talk about with Hitler. Is he had a little action on everything.
Yeah, he had a little something. And Hugo Boss, remember, was famous for designing the SS dress uniforms. Not the everyday go to work uniform, because going to work, you get brains on your shoes and brains on your pants. The dress uniforms, when it was a party time, or if you're in a Hollywood movie recreating the situation where the SS officers walk into a bar. That was his creation. So you got to admit, for fascists, if you want to compare American fascists who wear cheap, stupid suits in Florida to the Nazis who wore Hugo Boss designed tailored uniforms, you got to give the edge to the Nazis for looking better in their unis.
Well, yeah, I guess they always had that thing where they kind of felt that if we look good, people will follow us. I don't know if it worked like that.
And if they don't follow us, they'll flee from us.
And either way, we win.
Demons flee before him. That was a bumper sticker that I saw here in LA on a Jaguar.
Wow.
And apparently it was referring to some chapter in Christianity nomenclature, wherein the demons flee before. You can't see this, but I have a cat, a big cat. I don't know how this happened. Well, I adopted these cats.
Yeah.
Where is he? Can you see him?
Yes, I see. I see an ear and the top. Oh, now we saw a nose.
We adopted these cats. They're brothers, and there's a town near Fresno named Clovis.
Yes.
And they were born in Clovis, California, and they have never been back. And they thank me every day for getting them the hell out of Fresno.
If I were them, I would kneel at your feet every day to thank you for getting me out.
What we did not know at the time is they're going to grow up to be bigger than a coon cat. So they're like 40-pound cats. If you want to, they have this thing about, oh, I can't get up on the sink. God, I would love a drink of water, but you know me, I'm just a cat. There's no way I can make that leap. Could you please? I'm begging you with a meow and a peep, beep. Please pick me up and put me on the sink so I can have a drink of water. And when you do that, you realize these cats weigh more than a Weimaraner. And they also
weigh more than the word.
Like God. But then they inevitably do things the cats do, like wind their front paws around my earphone plug and then try to get off the couch.
Right, because they know that they could get off the couch without that happening. But what fun is that for them?
Where's the fun in it? The humanity. I'm just a cat. What do I know? Anyway,
they are looking for, you to reminders, subtle or otherwise, that you are subservient to them.
God, that's the case. And we think that we live with animals. But it's the other way around. They live with animals.
Yeah.
And they've trained them, and what animal has ever been trained by a human to feed them, to get them water, to take care of them, to make sure they're warm and get them a banky?
They've got the whole thing. They've got a system better than the White Castle system. I mean, they really do.
And they don't say anything about it. They know that there's no threats involved. They just wait and give you the look.
They caught on to the fact that we were dumb much earlier than any of us caught on to the fact that we were dumb.
Yeah, they say, look at Mitch McConnell. What do you think? I'll tell you what I see, but only after you tell me what you see. Well, I see the leader of the Senate. No, none of that.
And then I'm only going to tell you in gestures and language that I understand. If you think
Yes.
you're going to understand what I'm telling you, that's
No,
ship
you're
and
not.
sail.
It looks like you're cleaning your paw. Yeah, that's what it looks like to you. But to another cat, I'm telling him the story of you.
To me, to me here in the cat place with the cat union at the cat house, we are, we're discussing things in a way that only we understand, and we hope that you will never understand. Because if you knew what we were talking about, you'd stop the food.
And we're not having that. We're not having, in fact, we want the food when we want the food. Here's the thing that you've made a mistake about. You said we're going to have feeding times. We're going to have a feeding time in the morning. That's nonsense. A
Right.
feeding time in the evening. No, 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 no. When we say we're hungry, that's feeding time. And we'll tell you when we're hungry. It's going to be a simple plan.
And fool, remember that we have finally gotten you out of going to the store and buying that little tuna fish like looking can, and got you into $7.98 a meal organic food.
Because we don't like the other stuff. I'm telling you.
It's not that we don't like it. It's just that we know that we could do it. So
we're not going to eat that. Have you ever? I've seen the cat look at the food without tasting it, maybe hardly even smelling it, and just walk away in disgust.
yeah, we almost have single-handedly put Purina out of business.
Now, I've had dogs all my life as well. We don't have a dog right now. We've always had Labradors, and we had a yellow lab that would eat grapes, would eat bread, would eat anything you gave him, would eat things that were not food, would eat cake, would eat, name it. What do you want? What do you got? What do you people? Is that a food thing? Wait, don't even answer me. I'll eat some of it, and then we'll find out.
Yeah, we had to keep the door closed to Grandma's room, or she'd go in and eat them off. She didn't move for a few minutes.
That reminds me of a Nick Lowe song.
Which song is that?
It's a song about a woman who died and her Chihuahua ate her.
Oh yeah.
Just to show, there's a downside to dying at home.
Yeah. Well, there's I've had a few friends that have exited this mortal coil going that way, and it's usually never ever pretty.
Nope. That's not what exits are about.
No. Well, they can be, but for the most part, if you live by yourself in an apartment in Jackson Heights, and it's whoever takes care of these things decides that it's time to punch your ticket. They don't arrange for an ambulance and somebody
none of that.
get you, or somebody to find you. They just arrange for your exit.
Yeah. And by the way, why is Jackson Heights Heights? What does it look down on?
It looks down on nothing. It's level with pretty much. Well, I guess it looks down on Flushing Bay and LaGuardia Airport, but
there's no real heights to Jackson Heights. Just
it was actually
part.
a name devised. You'll actually like this, Michael. It was a name devised by a radio ad salesman.
Oh God.
Many years before.
So 40 seconds a copy in a 30-second spot is what you're saying.
Exactly. Because Jackson Heights used to be called Trains Meadow. And
it's kind of nice. I like that.
Yeah, Trains Meadow had a little ring to it. And the Queensboro Corporation, in the 20s, when there was pretty much nothing at Trains Meadow except Jackson Avenue, which ran from Queens Plaza all the way out to Long Island, Route 25A, now known as Northern Boulevard. The Queensboro Corporation bought all of this land and started building apartment buildings on it, because they realized that this new IRT subway that they were putting out to Main Street in Flushing was going to be a thing.
It was going to be a real thing. It was going to be a train that worked.
People were going to, so they bought a bunch of land and they built these guard apartments on it, and they had to figure out how to sell them. And the best way to sell those apartments, they thought at the time, although I still can't believe that, Bruce Blevins didn't walk into their office one day and say, "Let me show you how to do this."
I'm sure he did.
Through ads in the new medium called radio.
Oh God.
And so if you look up your radio history books, kids, you'll find out that the first ever radio advertisement was for the Queensboro Corporation's guard departments that were built in Jackson Heights, Queens.
What station was that?
I think it was was it the NBC? I think it was NBC.
So it was
whatever the
WN before
station-
WNBC was WNBC. It was
WNBD, I think, actually.
really.
Yeah, something like that. But it was a Sarnoff RCA
Oh, yeah.
controlled station, and that was from what anybody can figure out. The first time somebody handed over some money to somebody for saying, "We have this out here. If you want to come look at it and buy it."
And do what I tell you. Do what I tell you on the spot. Oh,
Yeah,
and also the our boss wants to be in it.
Right. Our boss wants to be in it, and evidently there was some sales assistant who wrote the copy.
Without a complete sentence anywhere. It's just dots and dashes.
It was one sentence.
It was one good one beautiful sentence.
One 25-second sentence in a 15-second space.
Yep.
But that's and I guess somebody liked a guy named Jackson in there somewhere, and so they decided to change or call the area Jackson Heights.
I wonder if that was a live read. Probably.
Well, I guess it worked better than a dead read in those days.
Remember, they used to have live reads on network television. There'd
Oh,
be
yeah.
a network show, and they cut to the announcer, and he's standing there at a picnic table with a box of Tide or a package of Uncle Ben's condensed rice, and tell you how wonderful it was.
I was watching an episode of Racket Squad last week or the week before, and Reed Hadley, who is Captain Braddock in Racket Squad, we'll get back to the case of the dawdling spinster in just a minute. But first,
let's
but I'm
relax
out
with
on
the
these
Chesterfield.
cases. I need a pick-me-up. I need something to keep me going. That's why I look at Philip Morris. And then they go into the, a 30-second live read about the refreshing taste of Philip Morris. By the way, I think Reed Hadley died of lung cancer. As many
Yeah,
of
he was in the same hospital with Yul Brynner.
Yeah, they were right down the hall from each other there at Cedars of Cigarette Smoke.
Well, what about the idea of the live read in today's television? Like Jimmy Kimmel could have Guillermo do a live read in his uniform, and you'd have to pay extra for it, and it would be a real thing when he's trying to sell Teslas.
Well, the master of that, although I don't think the show is on anymore, I'll fall out of my chair here if you remember this. But as you may remember, I used to be kind of hooked on this Spanish broadcasting system show called Sábado Gigante.
No, I don't remember that.
Don Francisco. And it was a combination game show and variety show.
Oh,
in front of a live audience. And it aired on Saturday night. And it ran, I think, 3 hours.
Whoa.
Maybe 2, but
An extravaganza.
Yeah, it was a big deal. And you had Don Francisco, who was an aging, is a polite way to put it, pervert, who, because, as in any Spanish language broadcast, you have to have scantily clad women walking around doing something.
Just doing something, mostly just walking around.
Doesn't matter what they're doing, but they got to be doing something. And, Don Francisco the show consisted of, in every break, of a live read.
Wow.
Of some kind. So he would just, turn to the camera, a la Reed Hadley, and just start, este es Nescafe te gusta de mucho, and it was great because you would have it was very formulaic in that Don Francisco held the product, 2 women on either side held another bigger version of the product, and he rapped and flapped while sneaking a peek at their breasts for 60 seconds.
I like it so far. Can they do the whole family of products like Fluxo Seal or whatever that stuff is called? Hi, Phil Stern here. Why does he say that?
No, they need.
Why does he say that though, Vinny? Tell me, why does he say that? Hi, Phil Stern here.
I don't know. If you're gonna have somebody sell your product like that, find somebody who's either overwhelmingly adorable, overwhelmingly personable, or overwhelmingly informative and engaging.
So not Phil Stern, you're saying?
Not Phil. Phil does not, to me, fit in any of those categories.
But he's got a family of products to sell.
Oh, Flex Seal, yes. And I can attest to you that none of them really work.
But, well, that's the whole family thing. Instead of one guy not working, the whole family doesn't work.
I fell for the Flex Seal with an air mattress that a cat got a hold of.
Nothing will stop the air from coming out of an air mattress.
No, but
nothing.
Phil Lech there was adamant that his product would stop the air from coming out of anything. Just
all you do is
like we say it.
Just slap it on and it's done.
Slap it on, and the mattress is as good as new. Paint it whatever color you want to paint it, and you're good to go. And I'll tell you, no uncertain terms, because I still have the mattress and the Flex Seal product. As a matter of fact, I was so stupid when it came to Flex Seal that I bought the tape. I did as the ad said, wipe it with rubbing alcohol and, get it nice and clean, apply the tape. I did that, and it didn't work.
No, now the tape wouldn't even stick.
I bought the can of Flex Seal, saying, well, maybe if I spray over. Now, this comes from the commercial where the guy is taking a screen door and put it in the bottom of a boat.
Oh, yes. And then he cuts the boat in half, and then he goes through the Florida Everglades.
Right, and he's got alligators coming up, but they can't get through because of the Flex Seal.
Well,
and I'm here to tell you, Michael, it's just a crock of bull. The air, which I can't imagine is more intrusive or than an alligator, did not stop coming out of the holes, either with the tape or the spray.
Well, what you should do is you have to buy a baking pan and put the whole can in the baking pan, and then it comes out like this and it flexes. And then what have you got? You got nothing. You have all your Flex Seal in the baking pan.
Well, at that point,
why did they show that? As if that's some experiment. Put all the Flex Seal that you just bought into a baking pan, and look, it comes out with a black thing.
If I'm going to do that, isn't it much easier for me to go down to Costco, buy myself another air mattress?
While you buy the baking pan, but be sure to get a backup air mattress while you're there.
How about if I just buy some Pillsbury, the cookies that you cut up and you put on the baking pan with the money I was going to use for the Flex Seal?
Well, we're back to my first question, which is, why does he say Phil Stern here, like as if he were somewhere else? Phil Stern somewhere else. Hi, Phil Bickman over here.
I always wondered why anybody says their name in here. We know you're there.
We can see you.
Now, if you say to me, Phil Stern at the Grand Canyon, well, you're telling me what that hole in the ground is and that you're going to fill it up with Flex Seal.
A whole family of products will help fill it.
Right. We brought tractor trailer truck loads of Flex Seal and 3 or 4 people that we didn't like on the block.
And I'm going to cut this motorcycle in half. We're going to put it together with a Flex Seal and jump across the Grand Canyon.
Later this afternoon, you stick around, we're going to walk across the Grand Canyon. First time it's ever been done.
Going to cut this mule in half and put it back together and ride it down the Grand Canyon.
It'll be something like you've never seen before. But
and
no,
it'll be just like being with Phil Stern. Yeah, Phil Swift. Okay.
Phil Swift. Yes, Phil Swift here for Flex Seal. Flex.
No, I like Chesterfield.
It's a nicer name.
Phil Stern here. We cut the cigarette in half and put it back together with Flex Seal, and it smokes beautifully.
It's
Captain Brannick likes them.
Yeah, Captain Braddock is in the back room with the little guy from Philip Morris.
Yeah, I was thinking about it.
And the little guy is not screaming call for, he's screaming call the police.
Call the police. The captain's got me again.
Wait, Captain Braddock is the police.
Remember he didn't, that little kid would say, call for Philip Morris.
Yep.
They never corrected him on that.
He wasn't a kid. I mean, he was like a 48-year-old midget.
He was a midget.
He wasn't the same midget that was one of the munchkins. I don't think he was ever a munchkin.
No, he was not a munchkin. He was a post-munchkin midget, and he was calling for Philip Morris. He was calling for help is what it was calling for. And anybody, get me off this cop. Get me away from Captain Brannick.
Yeah, Captain Braddock has got me in this room, and he's not asking any questions anymore.
I thought I was good. Yeah. He says he's got a whole family of products to show me.
And not for nothing, but there's a guy outside that keeps knocking on the door saying, Captain Braddock, Phil Swift is here.
Let him in. Phil Swift here.
And I just got a funny feeling that I'd rather go to jail tonight than all of this happening.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
Well, there's the first 30 minutes. What do you want us to talk about now?
Yeah, really, at this point, I mean, it can't get much better than that. Well, let's talk about the guy in back of me here, Keith Hernandez, who it was announced yesterday will have his number retired by the Mets.
And is it going to be a cocaine party in the Mets bathroom?
I hope so. I mean, pretty much what those guys deserve. I mean, if you're going to have a party of the times, that would be the direction you'd want to go in, right?
What's the occasion? Why now?
Well, it seems that the new owner of the Mets, Steve Cohen, pays a lot more attention to the history of the ball club.
Because he hopes it will repeat itself, right?
Yeah, he hopes it will repeat itself. But that this is what happens sometimes when a fan of a club winds up making enough money in his life to be able to go out and buy the club. And has, literally more money than they know what to do with. So they say, well, you know what? I could be the coolest dude in the world to this, assembled multitude of a couple of million people, Mets fans who have suffered for so long.
I can prolong their suffering, but also remind them of the great days.
Right. When suffering wasn't done on social media, when suffering was done on stoops and in candy stores. And, and you didn't suffer by checking out your inbox. You suffered by waiting for the paper to come up at 9:00 at night.
And it would help you suffer. It would confirm your suffering.
Immense suffering and pain to you, depending on which end of the paper you open first.
It doesn't really matter anymore. You can open up the entertainment section and see a picture of what's his name, Warren Whalen, who was dropped from Big Loud Records and scorned all over the country music world for saying by using racial slurs in his performance, dropped by his record company and dropped by country music, and now he's back with his Big Loud record team on the Grand Ole Opry. Welcomed him back. And it was a terrible, terrible reaction from a number of the younger country music and Americana crowd who said they had a choice to make and they made the wrong one. And it's a terrible slap to America, and a terrible result of this in terms of what country music stands for. Country music stands now for, yeah, you used a racial slur, but you're still a good old boy. So come on in. Come on up here on the stage.
And I mean, I think, Michael, that this is a question that always comes around to not just country music, but everything. Is how, you know, how much do you cancel somebody? Do you now if they're using racial slurs on a consistent basis? I mean, I think that gets canceled. I mean, that's that's wrong.
You've hurt your career, but is it terminal?
You know, I think there should be some kind of mechanism for redemption somehow, because we all make mistakes. We all do things that are stupid, that maybe because of our upbringing or whatever, make you not realize the hurt that you're inflicting on other people or whatever it is.
And you have to pretend you care until you
Right.
get your job back.
Who was the country guy a couple of years ago that was kicked off for Saturday Night Live? And because he used the N-word at some kind of party or something like that. And they didn't let him appear on Saturday Night Live, and it went on for about a year, and they finally brought him back.
Oh,
Said, okay, there's there's forgiveness out there for everybody. And a month after he appeared on Saturday Night Live, they got a tape of him doing it all over again.
they should have had him guest star with Eddie Murray.
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. What did I say? Murray?
Eddie Murray. Yeah, another Met who
Phil Swift here.
Yeah, for Eddie Murray. So I don't know. I don't know what, do we need to form a Department of Redemption? Do we, is Charlie Rose? We no longer get the benefit of Charlie Rose's wisdom and insight because he made some mistakes, which he paid for dearly. So is he permanently canceled?
It looks like it.
Or is there a point where we say, okay, you did the crime and now you did the time? Are you sorry? You contrite? What does it take so that we can get the benefit of what you are able to do that not many people in this country or the world actually can do?
I can do network television, ask good questions, and grope the PA.
Yeah, I mean that's a triple header.
That's a career.
So I don't know. It's a question I think people struggle with because it's easy just to cancel somebody out.
Like Matt Lauer,
Kevin Spacey. So many of these different people who now have come under this, Me Too movement and the different types of movements that there are now in the world of cancel culture. And I think there are things that are unforgivable that you do. If you rape somebody, if you attack somebody physically, violently harming them, I think those come pretty close to you stepped over a line.
And what about Prince Andrew? Are they going to take away his princey? Or what? What does a prince do to prove it? What does a prince do to prove he's a prince? Does he get bumped down to a baron or a duke?
Yeah, I mean, what do you do with him?
He's just a royal.
The Britons have a little bit of a different take on all of this stuff.
How do they take it?
Well, I think they take it as the royals can do almost nothing wrong. That's why they're the royals.
In fact, the royals used to take the bride on her wedding night, if you remember that rule.
Yeah. I'm not 100% familiar with it, but I kind of remember it. I haven't, the royals in my part of town is always followed with flush.
Well, yeah.
So that's the relationship. I mean, it took us years to understand what the whole thing was with the Duke of Windsor and the girlfriend and the wife.
Well, there you are surrounded in New York by queens and kings.
Yeah, and the Staten Island.
And what are you going to do? You got Staten Island.
It's unforgivable. So I don't know, but who makes up those rules? Who says that after a certain amount of time, this country singer or this person is allowed back in the good graces? I mean, Nixon got back in people's good graces.
All he had to do was walk along the beach in San Clemente and look pensive.
And well, and he also had to come up with some salient points about foreign policy that nobody else really were coming up with.
And he had to do the David Frost interview years later.
Right. He had to present this case to people, and he had to and he had to show that, I may be a jerk, but I have some pretty good insights. I helped start and get some kind of socialized medicine going. I did unfrost relationships with China and Russia. I did do something that would be unthinkable for an American president to do today, and that's say, hang on a second, inflation is running crazy here. We're going to freeze prices.
Yeah.
We're going to freeze wages here. We're going to put the brakes on everything until my corrupt guys down at the Department of Commerce can figure out what the heck is going on.
And that seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah.
Well, now we're just talking about not policy, just loyalty. You don't have to do anything to get an endorsement from Donald Trump. You simply have to kiss his ring. I think it's the ring. Am I right?
I think it's the ring around something, actually.
Oh, the ring around the rosy.
Yeah, the ring around the rosy. Well, Trump is a different kind of cat than Nixon.
He doesn't have. Remember, he ran for president with no platform. That's the first time that's ever happened.
Right. I think that Nixon, for all the bad things you wanted to say about him, did do what he was, in his crazy way, was thinking was right.
The tricky dick way.
Yeah. I mean, you may not have agreed with it, and it may have been harmful to the country in many ways, but I don't think Richard Nixon said, well, we're just going to subvert democracy. I want to be the ruler of everything. I want to be the king. I think Trump wants to, he looks at the North Korean guy and the Russian guy and the Chinese guy, and those are his heroes.
He says, I could do that. I could do that.
Yeah.
I could be a great dictator. I'm cut out to be a good dictator.
Yeah, Nixon was, still, I think, ultimately probably trying to figure out a way to get along with these people.
I don't think it ever occurred to him to destroy the system,
right?
To subvert it.
He had some people that worked under him, and even they weren't trying to destroy the system. They were only trying to stay in power, which, I think when we look back on this in many years, are two very different things.
Stay in power long enough to dismantle the structure of democracy.
Right. And which is, I think, the full intent
yes.
of Trump is to subvert the system for your own gain. Not the good of the people.
No.
There's nothing I've ever seen that says, well, if Donald Trump becomes the dictator, the middle class in this country is going to do well. Because there's going to be socialized medicine, and they're all going to be taken care of, and they go down and get a COVID test when they want, and air for their tires will be free. You won't have to pay a quarter to put air in your tires anymore. The things that make the middle class.
Oh God, yes, free air at a gas station would turn the world around, turn the world on its ear.
Well, I think that a gas station should be required to give you free gas, free air.
And free gas would not be bad.
Free gas would not be bad.
Charge me $1 for the air and give me free gas.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen. But air, to my thought, has always been was free when I was growing up. What does it cost you for air? Should be a part of doing business. And people with means to make their car to keep their car safe on the road.
And you want the singing Texaco guys to do it. Put the air in the car.
I don't care if Dinah Shaw comes out and does it.
She only does it for Chevrolets.
Yeah, but if you had Dinah Shaw doing it for Chevrolets, Jack Benny did it for Texaco. Lawrence Welk doing it for Dodge. Captain Braddock doing it for Hudson's. I think at some point you could, cover all your brands.
And Cal Worthington will take all the rest.
He'll take all the foreign cars.
And the big cats.
and the big cats. I mean,
my
you know,
dog
and his
Spot.
dog Spot.
Yep.
Anyway, so
So
yes,
tell me, why does Keith Hernandez deserve to have his number retired? Was he that good of a hitter?
I think he was not only I think you could make a pretty good argument that he was the preeminent first baseman of his time. You know, go back and look at, I mean, he was a great hitter, a great clutch hitter, an incredible fielder. I don't think he gets the credit for his fielding prowess. And in New York, he was at the top of his game. That's when he was the best. I mean, you know, he was in that curve still of a great player.
Did he ever play for anybody else?
I think he played for the Cardinals.
Yes,
That's
yes,
where
yes.
he was traded from it, and he played for the Giants, I think, the last year of his career.
No, that was Darryl Strawberry, wasn't it?
Well, Strawberry played for the Dodgers. He did play for the Giants, I think, one season, but I'm pretty sure that Hernandez played for the Giants. You know, again, at this age, without looking it up, it always gets a little flaky. But let's see.
Phil Swift played for the Giants too last year of his career, didn't he?
I think so. I think problem was
And he was at first base, and when you get to first base, he'd look at you and he'd say, "Phil Swift here."
I'm sorry, played for Cleveland the last year of his career in 1990 was the
So
final year.
he could commute from his apartment in New York.
It was a quick wasn't there that long. I think he only played, let's see, 43 games.
Not a lot.
Yeah, not a lot. But I mean, when you go back and you look at his career, I mean, co-MVP, I think he still is the last co-MVP, right?
Hmm.
He was the MVP in 79, co-MVP. He was, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years voted to the All-Star team and in the conversation for MVP. I think he had I think you could make a case that he was one of the predominant first baseman of his time.
Is he still calling the games?
He still is, yes. And doing a really good job of it. I enjoy listening to him.
He sometimes does network calls, doesn't he?
I don't.
Seems like he
I'm not
joined
sure that he
Big Poppy
does.
or something on Fox or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he does, Michael. I'd have to look, you know, to see. But I maybe he did for a year or two. But I'm pretty sure that he just does at this point. He's just doing Mets, you know, Sportnet, SNY stuff. Darling is the guy who does the network stuff.
Yeah, he's not very impressive to my way of thinking.
I think he's got good insight into the game. He's kind of a tone 40 kind of, you know, he's not.
Yeah.
He's not a Ron Fairley, you know, or
Don't get excited. Don't get excited, okay?
right. Which I think those guys should. I want to hear when a guy gets excited.
I do too.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see what, you know. Part of the reason you have an ex-player there is for him to show you what he gets excited about when he's watching a baseball game. But as far as Met fans, I actually wrote this on the post when I did. For Met fans, he was the straw that stirred the drink. You know, when he came over to the Mets in, what was it, 85, 84, well, maybe it was early, 83, I guess. You know, he didn't want to, you know, the Mets was still a joke.
He didn't want to go.
He didn't want to go, but they had a core of really good players. You had Hubie Brooks, you had Mookie Wilson, you had Darryl Strawberry, you had Dwight Gooden, you had Ron Darling.
Yeah, that's a handful.
You know, I mean, you had a core there that needed some veteran leadership. And when you brought in Hernandez, you brought in Ray Knight, who was an excellent third baseman at the time.
And he was a bang bang guy.
And and you brought in Walt Terrell for the back of your rotation, and I mean, you started to you started to say, okay, these people are going to go out. Frank Cashin and the Mets, Double Days, who owned it at the time, we're going to go out and build something here. Now, nobody really talked about the drug abuse and all the other stuff that was going on, but they had a very legit rotation and a very legit bullpen.
Well, did they use or did they abuse the drugs? Because just using them is not abuse, is it?
Mikey, I wasn't there. I don't know. I mean, if they're normal human beings, like most people that do drugs are, they probably had some days they used them and some days that they abused them.
William Burroughs, who wrote Naked Lunch, said that he hated cocaine because it was the only drug that you wanted after you've had some.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said, what kind of drug is that?
Yeah, it's supposed to get you to a place and leave you there, right? Not make you
not make you want to go back. Yeah. Where are you going? I'm getting back where I was before I did this. Now I want some. No, you just had some.
Well, I don't know. But as Met first basemen go, as Met players go, as players of that era go, I think there's a pretty damn good argument for Hernandez in the Hall of Fame. And I can't, in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and I can't in many ways believe that he hasn't gotten more traction. I think part of it is because of the drug trials in the 80s. And then he testified. He was the guy that had the relationship with Curtis the caterer. Remember Curtis the caterer?
He delivered. Curtis did.
Yeah, Curtis the caterer was a Pittsburgh guy who made Pittsburgh the number one stop on many players' agendas.
Curtis, what did you bring? Well, I got lasagna. No, I'm not hungry. What did you bring?
Oh, well, I got this other envelope here, and he was the guy in court, that they hauled into court, and Curtis and Hernandez and a few other players started telling the stories.
Yep. Yeah, you take this drug, you'll hit 218 every day, like clockwork.
Well, I don't know, Mikey. I always wondered, especially in baseball. I mean, I can imagine that a drug like cocaine or speed or that will make you feel like you can play better. Well, but it's hard to realize that it would actually make. I mean, does it make you see the ball? I mean, to get a hit, you have to see the ball, don't you?
You better be able to. I that's what I've always thought. That's what Ted Williams told us.
Yeah, and I've never been able to understand and to fathom that cocaine would make you see the ball better. I mean, it never seemed to me from people I've talked to that it made the ball look bigger, that it gave you extra skill in your comer. Now, if you do steroids, now those would bulk you up and maybe be able to make you hit a ball farther if you could see it.
All right. If you can see, you got to see it.
But the whole premise of baseball is you have to have a good enough eye to be able to see the ball, or be damn lucky when you're swinging the bat.
And that luck will not last.
And yeah, as we all know, luck is momentary. Skill lasts over a longer period of time.
Well, but as a Mets fan, you can vouch that Keith Hernandez is beloved by his fans and deserves the accolades.
Yes, it's funny because a lot of people thought, and still do, I think, in many quarters, that Hernandez had a bit of an attitude. That he wasn't, the friendliest guy. players that I've talked to that have played with him, and Hernandez himself. I've interviewed him a few times, and he does, he's a Lupinella type of guy. He doesn't suffer fools well.
Yeah.
If you're going to talk to me and you want to pick my brain about baseball, let's not go off in 6 different directions. Let's talk about what you want to talk about. Which, as an interviewer, you kind of like that sometimes. We got a chance to hang out a little bit at the All-Star game when the All-Star game was here in 2001. And one thing I always remember about Hernandez is we were in the Fan Fest, and I'd met him over at FX McCrory's, and I said, Keith, could you come on the show? I'm from New York, got it down. He said, oh, yeah, no problem. Also lived in the Bay Area. You went to Cappuccino, I think, and that baseball high school is down on the peninsula.
Yep.
And he said, yeah, okay. Where do I go? All right, we'll come over to the thing over there, the fan center. And lo and behold, at 2:00 on a Sunday afternoon, here comes Keith Hernandez walking up right on time.
Wow. I'm impressed.
No, send a producer out to find him or this or that. Gave me a cell phone number and said, if you need, if I'm not there by a certain time, call me. And the time was a half hour before, for if you don't hear from me. And I got a message from him that he'd be there right on time. And sure enough, right on time.
Cool. And was he a good guest?
Crowd.
A good guest?
A great guest. Yeah, excellent guest. Mike Brown and I interviewed him. And just so, and I think his persona on air when he's doing the games is that of an ex-player who doesn't suffer fools well. You can see where people would get that impression, but he's very insightful on the game. He knows the game. And he's not afraid to say what he sees, which I like. So I'm glad he's going in. I'm glad that he's getting his number retired. I seriously hope that he would get consideration someday for the Baseball Hall of Fame.
And what was his number?
17.
That's what I thought. But didn't Strawberry wear 17 too?
18.
18. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Gooden was 16. Hernandez was 17. Strawberry was 18. And
Hobie Landreth was 19.
Hobie Landreth was definitely 19. And 20 was Cleon Jones.
00 was Phil Swift here.
No, he was 000 -1.
Oh, a negative number. Phil Swift barely here.
Phil Swift. What are we going to do about Phil Swift? But you know what? He's reveling in it because he's probably sitting, well, you know what? People, these two guys on this radio show out in the West Coast are talking about me and my flex.
Every day. Yeah. And my whole family of products.
And the My Pillow guy would, kill for that kind of publicity.
I'm sure he has killed for that kind of publicity.
Yeah, that's a guy whose skeletons you don't want to uncover.
No, when he flips out, you don't want to be in the post office.
Yeah, you don't want to be anywhere around because and it's going to happen with him. You can see it.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
You can see a huge crack bender coming down the pike for the My Pillow guy.
Mike, what's his name?
Lindell.
Mike Lindell. Now that's a funny name. What was the name at your birth?
Heinz Tarakovsky.
Okay, there you go. The Tarakovsky family. They were very loud. I remember them in the neighborhood. Always the loudest family.
Well, remember they had that little act they used to do, the Flying Tarakovsky brothers.
And none of them could fly.
No, it was basically grabbing onto the escape ladder if the fire the fire escapes.
But one of the Verakovsky, Billy Verakovsky, thought he could fly. He's no longer with the act.
No, matter of fact, he might still be flying.
He's in treatment.
Well, listen, there's a hard and fast rule that says you can't fly off of the Verrazano Bridge.
And yet he wanted to give it a go.
There's Billy saying, signs are not meant for me. I don't have to stop. I don't have to make a no left turn. And
what does merge mean? He was merging with the one, He was
right,
merging
certainly, with no littering does not apply to me in any manner or form.
Because I was not littering. I was trying to fly over here.
I litter where I want. And by the way, the other one, posts no bills.
Oh God.
Which is a now a forgotten but yet integral part of growing up in New York.
Billy Martin hated that sign. He hated that sign.
So did Billy Swift.
So did Bill Bruford, drummer for Yes, who no one remembers, but he hated that sign. I just want you to know that.
So did Billy Clinton.
Starting pitcher for the San Francisco Giants in the 1962 series was Billy O'Dell. He lost to the Yankees.
Yes, he did. And man, there's a lot of Billies out there. Man, I'm going to run into a lot of money today. You know that?
I think you should.
My left palm is just unbelievably itchy. It is the left palm where you run into the money, right?
We're going to find out later today.
Well, if it's the right palm, I think you get a summons, don't you? I don't know.
But if you're a member of Congress, you can ignore that.
Well, yeah, they can ignore everything. Boy, that's a little crap show that's heating up, huh?
It's going to be fun to see. Let's televise those hearings. Let's get them on tomorrow.
I want to, yeah, you know what? There's nothing like seeing these guys burn, these congressmen. I was cheering yesterday when I was watching the video of Fauci just taken apart.
Here's your website, you schmuck.
Yeah, Rand Paul. There's nothing I think in this world besides the birth of my child and her success at whatever she wants to do that gives me more pleasure than watching little Fauci just go up and down one side or the other of Rand Paul, and him not being able to answer Fauci because the only thing that he's doing is reading pre-prepared questions.
Yes.
So the nitwit is so stupid that he doesn't know what to ask next.
Not only that, they're both doctors. Who do you want treating you?
Not Rand. I don't want Rand Paul to have anything to do with anything that might be associated with any function on my body.
Remember, Rand Paul can't go out on his own lawn because his next door neighbor will floor him if he does.
Just an incredible piece of crap of a human being.
Yep.
And so I'm glad that Fauci is in a position where he doesn't have to feel beholden to just about anybody.
And the idiot senator who tried to explain Fauci's salary by saying it's not available on any site, and Fauci saying it's public, it's up everywhere. And then under his breath goes, "What a moron! Jesus Christ!"
I know that was
what a maroon.
And something tells me that Fauci knew his mic was open. He didn't shut it off on purpose.
No, he and Daffy Duck both know a maroon when they see one.
Oh my God! It was just for those of you who don't know. There was hearings yesterday in Congress, and they called Fauci, among others, Dr. Fauci up to testify.
Talk about that COVID hoax.
Right, except that when Rand Paul got his chance, he didn't talk about COVID. He wasn't interested in talking about COVID. He was interested in talking about how much money Tom Fauci was making, and Fauci was lying in the grass waiting for him.
Here I am, and here you are. Hello there.
And I'm going to show you how this little short Italian guy from Brooklyn takes care of people like you when they go walking down Flatbush Avenue.
Top of my class. Where were you, Rand Paul? Where were you? I'm top of my class.
Yeah. Where would you be if it wasn't for your father? Nowhere. I'd be cleaning teeth in a dental clinic in Paducah.
Most likely in the back of a pick 'em up truck.
Yeah, working, trying to get some money out of the federal government for some kind of health, bogus health corporation.
For injuries suffered while being beaten to the ground by your neighbor.
Yeah, I just I just can't respect an electorate that puts people like that to work.
And what do you get for that? What do you get if you're a supporter of the Republican Party? You get an entire Senate that votes no on everything. You get people who can't understand nor believe nor or factor in science into their decision-making process. And you get the people who must apply their lips every day to the ring around the rosy of Donald Trump.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't, again, we talk about this all the time, Michael, but what is the benefit for these people? If you say to me, I'm going to vote for Joe Biden, okay, or I'm going to back Joe Biden's, whatever his plan is, I look at it and I say, okay, well, if this passes, I'm going to have a I won't have a deductible on my health insurance. I'll get a tax credit every month for my health insurance or whatever it is. The roads will be less bumpier. There'll be less accidents. If I go out and I buy an electric car, there'll be a $7,500 tax credit.
And there'll also be a place where I can vote on election day.
Right. There'll be a load of benefits to the average and protections to the average middle class person. Because these people, they're flawed like everybody else, but they are trying to at least do something that will help mankind, that will help the process.
But look how popular it is to be a Republican and do the work of the devil. Look how popular that has become.
Yeah, when I look at Rand Paul, or I look at Mitch McConnell, or I look at these different figures, the Lauren Boeberts of the world, what are they doing for their constituents? Never mind right, left, center. What are they doing for their constituents? What are they doing for the people who elected them to office?
Well, I can't make your life better because I'm a Republican and that's what we're not about. We're not about making anything better, but I can fuck things up. And if that's what you want, I'm the one for you. And I'll just vote no on everything. Well, wait a minute. We were going to have lunch. I vote no on lunch.
Yeah.
Well, we were going to fill the tank and go to the store. Nope. I vote no on that. And I vote no on that. No.
There's a great, I forget which Marx Brothers movie it's in. I think it's the one where they get elected to run a town or something like that. But there's a great number in it called "I'm Against It," and and Groucho goes stomping around and you want your taxes less. I'm against it. Just for the sake of being against it. And it always reminds me of when I've heard it. Reminds me of these people and the way they just, they are just. Whether it's good for people or bad for people, they are just going to be against it.
They won't even talk about it. I won't even say the word.
And listen, you have people on the right and the left that are the same way. I was looking at an interview yesterday on CNN with some guy from a some kind of voting rights organization, and he is upset at President Biden. Because President Biden hasn't secured the right to vote for all people yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there saying, and he's saying, well, he shouldn't, this guy is now telling Biden, who has how many years experience in the Senate and how to do these things and how to work these people like Manchin and Sinema and all of that. And while I'm not going to say that Biden has done everything correctly, I would hazard a guess that, am I going to listen to this clown who's telling us that the president is no good, it's not good enough for him? Or am I going to listen to the president who has this experience and knows how to work these things.
Of course, the difference is the guy that you saw is a talking head. He doesn't hold office. The problem with the Republicans is all the office holders, all the people representing their constituents are no. They just know about it.
Right.
Well, what do you guys know? No, we don't know anything except to say no. That's what we can say.
Right.
We flood the zone with shit and we say no.
This guy is not coming up with a creative solution that says, well, if president does this, president does that, the Republicans will buy into it. Joe Manchin will be happy, and we can move on.
I don't think Joe Manchin is going to be happy. I don't think he can be happy. I don't think Kristen Sinema is going to be happy. There's nothing on this planet that will make her happy.
It's like we were talking about last Wednesday, Michael. It's no percentages in Joe Manchin being happy.
No.
It doesn't. If he has in his mind that he wants to run for president in 2024, there's no reason for him to make anybody happy right now, because the worse that the country can look, the better it is. Like, I was on Facebook yesterday and somebody posted a picture of empty supermarket shelves.
Right.
And said, oh, is this how it is where you are? Now, what I saw this on Pinterest, and I really, usually I just let stuff like that fly by. But I was upset with this person because it's how this craps. It's what the Republicans do. They get a picture like this, uncredited, unsubstantiated. Where is it? What time was it taken?
At 5 a.m. before they stock the shelves.
Right. And they put it up there saying widespread shortages are going to happen. Look at what the Democrats are doing. Nobody wants to work, just the party line.
Right.
And so I took it on. I said, hey, listen, I've been in several stores on Aurora Avenue here over the last week, and I haven't seen one shelf that wasn't stocked. Every time I went to Safeway, I went to Trader Joe's, I went to this store, that store.
They got stuff, believe me.
There's stuff there. They'll sell it to you. They're happy.
In fact, that's the idea. That's the whole idea there.
In one store, they'll even bring it out to your car for you if you want. You don't have to get your lazy fat ass out of the car. You can just sit there with your phone, and while you're playing Candy Crush, you can order what you want, pull up, give them your credit card, bring it right out to the car.
And they want to please everybody. So if you're a Republican, you can drive up and order an empty shelf. They'll bring the shelf out.
Now, I suppose that you'll even be able to order something if you're a communist.
Yeah, red T-shirt.
Yeah. You want to be a communist? You want to? So, but that's that's the play now. The play is you get somebody who posts this picture, and then you have, 25 other people that are nitwits that look at this and say, oh my God, there's no supplies.
I knew this was coming. Here comes the end of the beginning. I knew it was coming.
Right. Let me ask you, how many Christmas trees? I know you don't run around people's houses looking at Christmas trees, but back in November, everybody was screaming on television about the supply chain. There's going to be nothing in the stores, and it's going to be the worst Christmas ever. We're not going to have anything. We're not going to have this. We're not going to have that. How many empty Christmas trees did you see this year? How many Christmas trees did you see in people's houses with nothing under them?
No, that's not the way it was. It turned out to be a pretty good Christmas.
Yeah. Retailers did okay. Amazon added to their kingdom.
And apparently the supermarkets ordered a lot of empty shelves. They're going to put those up.
They'll have them up until Easter, when the Easter baskets come in and they can slap stuff up. Well, I guess you got Valentine's Day in the middle.
And we got the Super Bowl. You got to get chips and dip.
Right. No shortage of people who want to buy chip bowls and dip bowls and other football related stuff. It's just people are so weak-minded, Michael.
Yeah.
They've
been trained to believe they're thinking for themselves, and then they come up with these cockamamie ideas that can only foster themselves in an environment of ignorance, willful ignorance.
Well, it's sad because it will probably at some point lead to the downfall of this country. Not
It'll
because
it'll cost us a generation. Don't you think it'll cost us a generation? The generation where those kids of those idiots didn't go to high school because of COVID, didn't go to college because they didn't go to high school, and we just lose a generation. It'll be like the zero generation.
Right. It'll just be a bunch of people that the generation after them will have to pay for because they can't figure out what to do with a red light.
What's wrong with your family? Well, we believed in the Q thing. We were Q people, and so we're not educated, and we're not inoculated, and we're not vaccinated, and we don't participate. We can't do anything. So don't invite us over because we don't even know how to sit on your couch. We just don't know how to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, this country is going to need a mass infusion of education.
We're against that.
A mass infusion of critical thinking skills,
but only if the ignorant parents at home get to decide the subjects taught and how they're taught. Because we want to make sure that you realize that Moses saved the dinosaurs. Okay, let's get that straight. That's what he did.
I got to be honest with you, Michael. I don't think parents should determine. Our parents didn't determine the curriculum of what we were taught.
They didn't understand. No, they didn't.
You went to school. They taught you what you were supposed to be learning every once in a while. I mean, the biggest thing we had was should they have sex education in the schools, hoping that we would stem the tide of 16-year-old high school girls showing up to school pregnant.
But no.
But the moralists in the South decided that we can't have that happening.
And we can't have the abortion facilities open either. So we got you on both ends against the middle.
Yeah. And what is it for? For gain, for their own personal gain, not to make society better. Not that we're going to be a better society if these things are hidden from our children.
No, in fact, this is the way God wants it. It's the way I want it. It's the way Joe Manchin wants it. So let's just bend to the will of your betters. Your betters will figure out what you can learn and what you can study and what you should know. And
so guys like Manchin, who I truly believe have designs on being the president, this kind of stuff benefits Joe Manchin. It benefits Cinema and Arrow. Although Cinema, I think, has a different agenda than Manchin.
She's just a contrarian.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. You can't be president if you've proven, as Joe Manchin has, that you can't be a senator. He cannot be a senator. He does not represent his people. He does not represent his state. He does not accurately address the needs of the people of West Virginia, and he never will. He's his own man. He's his own entity, and he's not a U.S. senator. So by virtue of the fact that he failed at being a senator, I say you cannot even run for president. You can't even campaign. Your campaign will be blown apart. What do you think the people running against Joe Manchin for president are going to say about him? He's the man who stood in the way of progress. He's the man who stood in the way of America. He's the man who said no to everything. No, that's not, you can't be president.
He's the man who couldn't figure out that what the Democrats were looking for, his state would by and large be one of the top beneficiaries of it.
If not the number one.
Free education, if you have programs that take people out of coal mines and teach them how to do alternative energies, if you have programs that will allow people where the two parents in the house have to go out and work to drop their kids off, not at the toothless grandma's house, but at a place where maybe they can be taught critical learning skills and reasoning and thinking instead of just being parked in front of the television set all day watching, All My Children or whatever.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah. It's a different groove. It's a different vibe. But Manchin says if you have an educated, he doesn't say it, but his reasoning, I truly believe, is if you have an educated electorate, I'm going to be nowhere to be found.
I'm gone. How do you think I got elected? I ran in West Virginia. I didn't run in Illinois. I didn't run in California. I wouldn't have had a prayer. But in West Virginia, they love me and they don't even know why.
Right. So let me grab what I can and get out of here.
Because I'm here now. I might not be here next year, but I'm here now. So I'm grabbing what I can.
That should be you know how on license plates in Virginia it says Virginia is for lovers. In West Virginia, it should say West Virginia. I'm here now.
Yeah, I'm here now.
I'm here now. What do you want?
I want to do it again on Friday. Shall we meet again on Friday, Vinnie?
You know, Mikey, I think that would be a good idea. I think our thousands of fans that
40 up to 46 million of them.
Yeah, I think we pierced the 46 million mark at some point. I don't know in what, but we did. Yeah, so Friday morning, if you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button down there and like our show. This way, we need to get to 1,000 subscribers pretty quickly here.
Or Captain Brannick will come over to your house and smoke a Philip Morris.
Either that or it'll send a Philip Morris midget over, and you don't want that to happen.
Because once they get in, you can't get rid of them. You can't get rid of them. You can spray and you can call for help, but you can't get rid of them.
Yeah, and let's face it, what would you rather hear? Call for Philip Morris or help, help, help.
Bill Swift here, and I'll see you on Friday, Vinnie.
Mike, I'll see you on Friday if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise. Until then, my friends, peace, love, Manischewitz.
Manischewitz, there's a whole family of wonderful products.
And what a wine.